it now? Click it or just... It's okay, I'll just come over and click it. Yeah. My job is done. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so this.
Introduce GYDI. Just 1 second.
So who's the first speaker? Shima? Who's the first speaker? Chin. Yes. Is it okay? Hello everyone. Welcome to today's session. My name is Hussein. I'm from Ghana. I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Climate Change and Sustainable Empowerment and also part of the GYDI delegation. I'm very happy to moderate this session. I have lined up amazing speakers, which I'm sure you are ready to hear from them. Before actually we go to the speakers, I want to give a very big thank you to Miro and then the IAAA Innovation for giving us this platform. It's a huge opportunity for us to be able to express. I wanted to give them a hand. So like I said, GYDI is actually a platform that has been created to engage, educate, and empower youth to be able to be involved in these UNFCCC processes and also to be able to come up with project initiatives, innovative projects to be able to adapt and mitigate the effects of climate change. But then some of these processes for them to be able to be actively involved, it means they need the capacity and the resources. But I'm happy to say that most of my speakers here who are youth have gone through this education training, and they've been able to come out with some of these innovative ideas which are really mitigating the effects of climate change. So I would like first and foremost to invite our first speaker, and like I said, when GYDI actually is more interested in how to involve youth from different countries to be able to be involved in these processes. So we have delegates from all different corners of the world. So first and foremost, I would like to invite Chin from China to give us her first presentation.
Hi, thanks everyone. So thank you for the Digital Innovation and Digital Art for Climate Pavilion for giving us this chance. My name is Chin. I'm from Hong Kong, China, and my day job, I am an urban planner, but on the side, I am a climate youth activist. So today I will be sharing a tool that I am developing with Hong Kong Institute of Planners and various NGOs like Red Cross Hong Kong, WWF, and other stakeholders. So what is this tool that allows me as a climate activist to pursue my climate goals and to tap into ACE into Hong Kong? So I will start explaining them. Actually this year, around April, one of the departments in Hong Kong released coastal climate hazard risk assessments, because Hong Kong, to give you some context, Hong Kong is a coastal city in the south of China, and therefore we are exposed to a lot of climate change impact, especially flooding or coastal surges, etc. And that's why we have a coastal also has an impact assessment in which the government identified 26 residential areas in Hong Kong which are considered high risk. Now, that is kind of all it shows. It shows residential areas only, and it doesn't show anything else. And so me as a planner and other youth urban planners, we came together and think, wow, we could utilize this information much better than just having these 26 points. And so we just came up together with the idea of, why not we utilize existing data and resources, available ones from different platforms. Like we have a census department, which gives you already ready demographics, age, ethnicity, disabilities, children or gender. We have already those data. So why not bring those in and layer it using GIS into this layer, as well as we could also put in where hospitals are, where temporary shelters are, where significant cultural buildings are, and we can layer existing layers onto that. So how will it look like? This is not from us, as we are still trying to develop the system together. This is from Climate Central, and they have an interactive map that allows users to go onto the website, open different layers. So for example, you have the social vulnerability layer, population layer, ethnicity and income layer. And these layers will really help urban planners like me to plan, if I see this area is considered high risk and there's a lot of people like elders, then we need to plan better. What provision do we need to give them? And so I think this is useful not only for me, but for other people as well, as first responders like Red Cross or other people too. And why I want to share this project at this Digital Innovation Pavilion is that I'm not doing the whole research, I'm not creating a lot of things from scratch, but I'm better utilizing already existing information in a new way, in a better way, and I think that will already help a lot and also meets several of the ACE criteria. So for example, it raises public awareness, it provides public access to information in a more usable manner, because the data which I shared, they're all in Excel formats and no one really wants to look into that. And with an interactive map, we think more people could easily look for it, more people could engage with it. And lastly, it also meets the public participation of the ACE elements. And I think when I go to Hong Kong, go back to Hong Kong after COP, we will soon host a public engagement, a public community dialogue with various stakeholders, people from these residential communities, coastal hazard communities, various NGOs, planners, engineers, will come together and see how we could develop this interactive map and then scale it up. I'll add to this point, as I guess my resources are limited, and so I can't really do a map for the whole of Hong Kong. So my plan is to only choose on one area and then do a pilot of that, and then hopefully use that pilot, and then maybe I'll bring it to the government, I'll bring it to other universities, and hopefully they can help me scale it up. So thank you, and I hope that's an interesting project from Hong Kong for you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Chechen, for the presentation. It's very lovely to see such a data, because such a data will go a long way to reduce disaster risk reduction. So it's something that is very creative and very innovative. Thank you once again. I'd like to invite our next speaker. Yes, so I'd like to invite our next speaker, who is from India. Ashima, please come and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Hussein. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Ashima and I am from India. I am also right now the executive director of a program called Future Climate Leaders Program in India, where we're doing a pilot run with our students from the age group of 14 to 18, and we are right now working with around 75,000 Indian students. So SCA basically is a global joint initiative between the Energy and Resource Institute and Evergreen Story. And the idea and the focus of our program is twofold. One, to really work with the most important stakeholder, which is the youth, and engage them as the key stakeholder and not as a recipient to the information altogether. And the essence of those part is to really foster a sense of sustainable living amongst the youth generation and the present generation, but also at the same time to look at and expose the students, make them ready for green careers or for careers in sustainability. So that's the two key objectives that we have while we designed the program for ourselves. And there are three major focus areas that we're working for, and that becomes very innovative. It integrates a lot of data, like Chinchin has mentioned, but it also really goes down to the point of learning, competing, and leading. So that's how we compile together as a young student to become a leader of taking forward climate solutions and climate actions. So when we're talking about our understanding of learning, what we're trying to do with severe tools, which is audio, visual, and even written in certain manner, we're trying to de-jargonize climate change language. So the intent is to make it easy, simple, but at the same time contextualized. So an Indian student can understand the impact of climate change in Delhi, in Uttar Pradesh, or in southern India as compared to something that's happening in thousands of miles away. So the more contextualized, the more relatable it becomes, the more mindset change that we can see across our Indian students. And that's what we're trying to do through the Learn program. So we have our learning partners and knowledge partners who are research think tanks, who are college professors, who are climate scientists, but at the same time are also government agencies who are providing that information and also decoding the IPCC 6 assessment report for us to make it more aesthetic, to make it more visual, but from the point of view of a child who is 14 years of age and not a climate scientist. The second part, when you've gone through that entire interactive learning using so many different mediums, the next part that we wanted to focus is to really provide a platform for a student to apply the knowledge into action products. We really wanted to see them engage, have an exponential form of learning to understand what are the steps that they can take towards sustainability and reduce their carbon footprint. So the question comes, how are you trying to do that, and how is it innovative, and how is it different, and how do we really integrate digital needs? The idea behind the program, it's called a Carbon Challenge, just to make it more interesting and more engaging for the students. It's an 11-week program where we are working with climate scientists and technical experts who break down the life assessment cycle of the products, specifically for household waste products, for products that you will have in your solid waste, which will eventually end up in your landfills. So they will help us with the life assessment cycle to understand the carbon footprint for all of these products from the point of manufacturing towards the end, which is the landfill point of view. With that data, with that information, the students are put into a mechanism, into a program where they will first do an auditing and segregation at their home, and which involves a lot of doing, which involves a lot of tools that they need to be understanding of to be able to segregate and understand how much they're producing and what is the loading difference that is there with respect to the waste products. We move forward with auditing, segregating towards while they are identifying and they are working with the management processes. So how they do the reduction, reuse, recycling of the waste products, and what is the outcome that they have in terms of quantitative data. And that's an innovative tool that we are designing and working with the technical scientists so that a student can put in the information and understand this is the life assessment cycle, this is the carbon footprint that the products have. If I do ABC activities, this is the outcome in terms of what reductions can happen, and this is, let's say, the bigger term reduction of carbon emissions that I have been able to do either at household level or community level, national level, and then even global level. So that is the focus of our program that we're really trying to, which also will motivate students to have a visible impact, hoping that will give a mindset change as well, so that it's not a qualitative theoretical discussion that they're having. They can see the quantity and they can see the data in their hand. Lastly, what we're doing is we're building a network and a community of leaders so that they can connect with each other, not at local level, not even at global level, but at regional level. So they can then contextualize their solutions depending upon the area that they are living in, depending upon the vulnerability that area has, and then obviously share solutions that they can work together. I'm just going to conclude here on the point that India in itself has experiencing different extreme weather conditions, has been experiencing different impact of climate crisis. We have heat waves in north, we have floods happening in our east area, in our southern area, we have wildfires in the middle. So each part and each Indian student is right now experiencing something completely different, and that's what we're trying to work for and really aim for. Thank you. I'll pass it to Hussein.
Wow, that's quite compounded, and I'm really impressed with the fact that you are actually you've come up with an innovation that is combining almost three elements of ACE: education, training, and public participation. It's amazing within a single product. Keep it up, audience. If you think you've heard enough, just wait, and we still have a lot in store for you. Our next speaker is from the Youth Climate Council, and I mean they are doing an amazing job. Please, Sarah, come and just introduce yourself.
Thank you. What a beautiful audience we have here. Yes. Thank you, guys. So I'm Sarah. I'm from Brazil, and I am the Policy and Research Officer of the Youth Climate Council Brazil. The tool I'm going to present is not that technical or digital one. It's more related to public engagement and public participation. So we are still in the ACE agenda, but related to how youth can participate in the decision-making process for climate policy. So basically, a Youth Climate Council is a space where the youth can have a channel directly between civil society and the government to increase their participation in this process. And the idea of the council actually came from experiences we had in some European countries. So the first one was in Poland, we had in Denmark, and also in the Netherlands. And there, the youth climate councils were connected to the climate ministers. So it was direct a channel with the ministers so that young people could bring their opinions and recommendations to the government. Last year we had the first experience in the Global South, which was a little different and connects more with the reality that we have in Brazil. So the first one was the Youth Climate Council in Ghana, and there it was also a bottom-up strategy to bring the council. So it was civil society itself that was bringing the idea of having a Youth Climate Council, and now fighting for the recognition from the other civil society organizations, but also from the government. And this is kind of the experience that we are having in Brazil. So it is civil society itself that is bringing the idea of a council, and we decided to do it first in a local level. So we are not in a national level in Brazil. We are doing it in the city of São Paulo because of the current federal government situation in which many spaces of participation have been cut down. So we had like 68% of our councils that were shut off because of this current government. So we decided to do it in a local level because we saw there were more opportunities for youth participation in there, and also because São Paulo is also like the biggest city in Latin America and already has a protagonism in the climate agenda. So this is what we are doing in there. The idea is, of course, to bring more young people to participate and actively engage in the decision-making processes, but also to make it in an effective way. So we do have a capacity-building training also related to climate advocacy and on how young people can have their own climate advocacy plans to have this incidation inside the government. Some of the activities and how we are structured, basically we are 3 people in the secretariat. We have a focus in policy and advocacy, which is the one that I'm leading, that is responsible for direct contact with government people, with public authorities, and the idea is to bring the idea of the council, but also to open the path so we can have access to information, transparency, and can actually monitor the types of policies that are being implemented, not only being launched, but also implemented. We also have one person that is dedicated to education and mobilization, that is basically the one that has to deal with other civil society organizations and works with the capacity building programs. And we do have a communication side that is very important for our Youth Climate Council, because it's throughout the networks and social media that we are able to share what we are doing, the public consultations we are opening for young people to gather their recommendations to the government, and also having access to political education so that young people can know exactly the ways they can do to talk with the politicians, to make their opinion being heard in those spaces. So basically this is the idea of the Youth Climate Council. We know that this is a format that can be scaled for other countries in other regions. We now have those 5 that I mentioned in Poland, Netherlands, Denmark, Ghana, and Brazil, but we also know a lot of other countries who are trying to implement Youth Climate Councils. And next week we're going to have an event that is how to establish a Youth Climate Council in your country. We're going to launch a toolkit in which we are putting all the information from the experience we've had in each context, because we know that each country has a very specific context related to how public participation works, and especially youth participation works. So we are trying to disclose all this toolkit in a way to inspire other young people to lead the way, and also be able to engage in youth climate councils in their countries, in which format this works better for them in their reality. So I think this is a little bit that I was about to share with you. Thank you so much for the space. Thanks, Susan.
Thank you, Sarah, for such an awesome presentation. Having been part of the Youth Climate Council of Ghana, I really know how effective and how important it is to empower the youth and to get them involved in the processes. As we talk about youth engagement, our next speaker will be talking to us about GYDI, how to be involved and how to participate. I would like to invite our next speaker.
So, good afternoon, namaskar. I'm Bhumi from India, and I'm a young student who just graduated this year and who's very new to Younger and UNFCCC. So I am in no way an expert, but I would try to share my journey to COP through Younger and GYDI. So I didn't know that Younger was not one of the original constituencies of UNFCCC until I reached COP, and I got to know that actually Younger was added in 2009 after the various calls from youth as a youth NGO, Younger. So Younger itself is an innovation and an effective tool to engage and help in capacity building of young people like me. So, I just joined Younger 25 days ago, and then I participated in various hackathons. I just signed up all the membership forms, all the Google forms I received. I was like, yes. I want to be everywhere, not just to know that what I actually align with and what I actually want to do. So that's why I just joined all the working groups. So Younger does have a lot of working groups which are specific to the UNFCCC negotiation subjects, and I am in the working group of ACE and NDCs, and also Indigenous Solidarity, and also Water and Climate. So a lot of working groups, but I mostly follow ACE, which is Action for Climate Empowerment, and which is also the theme Global Youth Development Institute follows. So me, I'm a student who just graduated with the geography honors. So I think I follow ACE because I want youth to be empowered to take actions towards climate. But I think as a geography student and as my education background, I'm more aligned towards water and climate. So I'm also a Unified member. So I'm really like everywhere right now, but I'm trying to like gather myself up and follow one specific theme by the end of COP. And I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm really sad. I wanted to stay more, but it has been a great experience with younger and especially with Globally Development Institute and TIM because it's because if it was not for GYDI, I wouldn't get recognized or get an accreditation to reach COP because we do have a huge gap in Indian youth to reach platforms like COP or COI or even of frequency as whole. So I think GYDI and Youngo are itself a huge and great innovative tool to help youth in capacity building and know more about UNFCCC and how they can be engaged, how can they also like take action and be empowered to lead the world one day. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. Thank you, Seth, for such a nice presentation. Youth participation is certainly very important. Without it, this whole process wouldn't have even gone through because we need the energy of the youth to drive everything we do here. So I think there is another part of Youngo which I'm very impressed with. Youngo has this initiative where it tries to organize replicate UNFCCC processes at the local level. And I know you are eager to hear more, and that is what we call alcohol. And that is a very key tool needed to involve youth participation. So I would like to invite our next speaker who will throw more light on alcohol. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Vy and I'm from Vietnam. So I'm just recently graduated from my master's degree in climate change, and during the write-up of my dissertation, I also had organized the first ever ALCOI or local conference of youth in Vietnam. That's multitasking. Yeah, so this is the first ever ALCOI in Vietnam, and I think so it's quite innovative tools in my country, but I think it's also very innovative global because like the oldest version of ALCOI is just 2 or 3 seasons already. That's why I want to speak in this pavilion about each innovation. So according to the Apple website, the definition is at ALCOIs, young people can connect to each other, teach, learn, and organize themselves to make their voice heard to a state leader. ALCOIs form network in which youth can connect across border and explore ways to collaborate on a regional and global level. So I think the DNA of ALCOI is comprised of 3 pillars. First is capacity building, second is network building, and the third one is policy building. And the important is how to collaborate and combine everything into one in the most effective way. And I think for ALCOI, for each different ALCOI, they share the same DNA, but there's a lot of space for creativity. And I want to share more about the creativity we have made in Vietnam. We made a combination of online and offline events with four capacity building session online with one from team also like a speaker for ACE, and I think like everyone speaks so many good things from me. Like after the event, everyone said, "Wow, team is so cool." That's what we were doing. And also we want to make a bigger impact. So beside online events, we also endorse and funded several participants that can go to our offline event in Hanoi. And we have like 30 years young people from across Vietnam. Like we had to share from both school. We had three regional and everyone attended. And we had so many good conversation together. And we made a global Vietnam youth statement. Luckily, we also have to gather signature from it, and we find Miss Earth Vietnam to be like the influencer, and she also presented global Vietnam youth statement into the beauty pageant, and in Vietnam people just like love beauty people, so we gather like 200,000, just 2,000 signature for our global youth statement. So that's why it's innovative. This is the first time Vietnamese young people can get the capacity building before. Because before there was also consultation section with youth, but there's such in a short time notice, and everyone didn't know enough information to make like good contribution. So after this event, I feel like the young people are more empowered, and the synergize come by to make a very good like this statement. And I really want to show you the statement, but my friend like just had a flight to Egypt yesterday, and she cannot make it today. But I will show you later. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, V, for trying to throw more light on alcohol. I think one amazing thing that usually comes out of alcohol is the GYDI statement. So, like V said, each country tries to develop its own statement, and then it's collated to present to come up with one youth statement, which is the GYDI youth statement. So to versus participation, which I'm happy that you've really led the whole process as the first person to organize alcohol in your country. Let's give you a hand of applause. This juncture, I would like to invite our next speaker, who is in the name of Soul. So we have the platform.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for hosting us here in this beautiful pavilion, and it's an honor to be part of the GYDI network. My name is Soy Maranzo Boza, and I'm here to talk about a tool that is also digital innovation, connecting initiatives that already exist with people like the speakers we have before us, looking at how we can all do interoperability between the solutions. Because the truth is, there are so many people on the front lines already working on all sorts of solutions that we need to solve climate change. We all know that there are various sectors. There's water, there's energy, there's food systems, there's education, and on each one of them we're going to need focal points. And if you look around COP27 alone and you connect all the initiatives that are already here, and in addition outside of COP27 around the world, there are many more that exist. Some of us in this room here actually behind the scenes are already talking about connecting and combining our efforts and resources, being an example of coming together and then using that network to unite our voices and really accelerate forward the solution to climate change and bringing our planet to a climate-safe condition for humanity to survive. So at the moment, that is what I wanted to present. We're working together even with Digital Art for Climate and IAAI and Grecha and ACE and many others, admiring the work of Young Go and really taking our voices, uniting them. And these are examples of what we can do when we come together. So that's what we like to do, to continue working together, discovering who's doing what where, connecting and then amplifying and accelerating the transition. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shane. I mean, that's so impressive. I mean, we are really excited to be part of this pavilion and whatever you are doing. We hope we'll be able to be engaged more right after here. Our last speaker, I remember at COP26 during the ACE negotiations, they were pushing so, let me say, Yongo was pushing so much for what we call the ACE marketplace as a tool to finance ACE projects. And there was a lot of heckles about that. I think it's a tool that was really necessary. And to make sure we get to understand what ACE marketplace stands for, I'd like to invite no other person than Mr. Timothy to throw more light on that, who is also the leader of the Global Youth Development Institute. Please give me one hand of applause.
Yes, thank you, Hussein. Everyone, I have the honor of rounding out this event of all these amazing young leaders who you've seen who are all part of the International Youth Delegation of GYDI and doing amazing work in their countries, as you've just heard. Before I come to speaking about the ACE Marketplace, let me contextualize this in the scope of all that amazing work that you were just hearing about. So, again, Youngo was only even created in 2009 because young people were demanding a stronger voice in this process. What we've seen is that young people are constantly on the forefront of innovation. They are developing tools. They are figuring out how to have conferences of youth every year, how to expand that down to a national scale through the local conference of youth, to the regional scale with the regional conference of youth. They're developing toolkits. They're going into K-12. Young people are already the drivers of the most innovative solutions, the most ambitious solutions that we're seeing come to the table for the actual implementation of climate action. Not only the discussions and negotiations that are happening in this space, which very often move at a very slow pace, which we know is not commensurate with the challenge that we face. The challenge, though, is that young people are mostly doing this work in the absence of proper resources and support. Technical resources and support, financial resources and support, governance, and their ability to access and participate in these kinds of spaces. And this is where, again, GYDI is very happy to have a many years partnership with IAAI, and we're very excited that this was the first year they secured this Digital Innovation Pavilion along with all of their partners. And we see this as, again, a really great step of being able to give all of these different innovators, whether they're from youth or indigenous or women or elsewhere across all the civil society constituencies, to have a space within the COP to be able to elevate these very critical issues. And so we definitely hope to see that initiatives like this pavilion and the Youth, Children and Youth Pavilion, which is also happening for the first time this year, will continue to expand. And so it is in this context of innovation and a need for more resources that within the Youngo ACE Working Group, we developed since 2020 a proposal for the establishing of what we were calling an ACE Marketplace. And this was in response to several initiatives that the governments here in this space, in many repeated negotiations and outcome documents, they had said, well, we don't have enough finance for ACE. Gee, what can we do? Oh, well, public sector finance is too tricky to talk about. We'll see if you're following any of the issues here at the COP, from loss and damage, the global goal on adaptation, not only ACE. But they said, all right, well, let's invite private and other sources of finance to help support ACE. And they've repeated this call several times now, and yet they have not established a platform or a mechanism to actually facilitate the linkage of those private and other sources of finance with the people who need it, the people actually implementing ACE, of which you've just heard from many of them who are amazing young people here. And of course, it's an intergenerational effort as well. You can look as well to the education, communication, and outreach stakeholders community here in the UNFCCC process. And you see, again, that lack of resources. And so this is why Youngo was pushing very hard on the road to COP26 and getting the Glasgow Work Programme on ACE to have the finance gap be solved, and to do it through this very innovative, very creative, very politically clever mechanism, so that we tap into those sources of finance that aren't being locked down here in the contentious aspects of the climate finance negotiations. And we saw that in Glasgow we did not get an ACE marketplace into the work program. And we continued then, as Youngo, as GYDI, as all these amazing actors, to keep pushing for that. And we've actually just last night concluded the ACE negotiations here. And we see again, there's not even a call for a process to explore how to get a marketplace or how to solve the finance gap. It is totally inadequate, the steps that are being taken in this 4-year action plan. And we appreciate the progress. It's good that we have this action plan. There are still good elements in it. But just as many folks complained, rightly so, that we were too rushed in the process in Glasgow to include human rights, we were too rushed in the process this time to be able to include meaningful progress on finance. And if we don't have finance for ACE, for digital innovation, for all of these tools, then we're just going to spend 4 more years knowing what we should be doing, having the recommendations, writing them down, young people struggling as volunteers, organizing outpours, fighting to try to attend the COP, to work in their communities, without having resources. And that is unacceptable. So we will continue, regardless of what the governments adopt to do. We as civil society, as GYDI, as CCSE, as YNET, as Youth Climate Council Brazil, as all of these partners and organizations, we're going to keep building this. We're going to keep pushing. We will continue as young people to lead and innovate and be ambitious and bring the solutions, and eventually the governments and other actors will catch up. But we can't afford as young people, and especially those on the front lines of climate change impacts, to just keep waiting and have another review and another round of an action plan, and we'll already be at 2030 when we know that the clock is ticking and we're running out of time. And that is why GYDI exists. That's why IAAI and our partners and all of these initiatives exist. And so we are, again, very happy. I'll round out. No, I'll say a few more words about the marketplace and how it would work, so that you know that this is a truly concrete initiative. But it would, in essence, be a space which would link the supply side of the climate finance, so from philanthropies, corporate social responsibility, since again we're specifically targeting private sector resources, although there's nothing barring it from including public sector resources. There are some parties who like to support youth, support these kinds of initiatives, so they would be able to opt in, but there are no obligations on governments. And link them up with the project proposals coming from young people, coming from others across civil society, so that the supply side and the demand side of climate action are able to meet. Because what we see right now is, we'll often be told, well, there are already all these resources that are out there, and what we need to do in the action plan is to create a report in which annually we name and list some of what these sources were. And in, not next year, but in 2024, we can have a workshop in Bonn for the few young people and government representatives who can actually get the finance and the visas to go to Bonn. So if you can make it to Bonn in 2024, you can have a workshop on how to write strong project proposals. Yay! Progress. No. So what you can do also with this marketplace is have it as an incubator and a capacity building platform. Because a lot of those existing resources, they say, the Green Climate Fund, the Global Environment Facility, Bloomberg, all the philanthropies. Yeah, we're youth NGOs. You can't just access the GCF. You have to go through your government. You can't just walk up to a big philanthropy and say, hey, can we have a bunch of money as a youth NGO? We have all this great work we want to do. That's not actually how the system works. It's not working for young people. And it keeps us entrenched in the status quo. So the marketplace and combining that with an incubator or training capacity building arm that would be able to help young people that aren't in a position yet to have incorporated an NGO in their community, in their country, or they don't actually know how to write a strong project proposal and they don't want to wait until 2024 and have the cost be a plane ticket and visas to go to Bonn to get that, to be able to have that support. And that's where GYDI is already doing what we can within our limited resources. Because we don't have enough finance ourselves either. But we are doing what we can to help advise young people. How can they get their organizations formed? How can they get them admitted to the UNFCCC process? How can they write strong project proposals? And we will be really working together to make strong joint work that we can accomplish and get the attention of those big resources and break through that barrier. So this is the mission and purpose of GYDI, and we look forward to continuing to work with all of our amazing delegates, our alumni delegates from past COPs and SBs, Miro and our amazing partners, so that when we hopefully come together for the Digital Innovation Pavilion in COP28, we will have a lot of substantive progress to bring to the table and report on. So with that, thank you everyone. Let's continue to work together to make all of this ambitious action happen.
Thank you very much, Tim. You are the real leader. This is the winning team. And you are part of the winning team. It's really this knowledge-based approach, strategic approach, bringing the energy from the street. Young people have demonstrated that they have the energy to change the systems. Fridays for Future. But this is the energy, but then translating this into real change of institutions and real enablement of action. Action for climate empowerment is my most loved process in the UNFCCC system. And then it needs knowledgeable and active and people like Tim and all the GYDI delegation. It was so inspiring to hear you today. And you are always welcome here at the Digital Innovation Pavilion, Digital Art for Climate Pavilion. I'm 100% convinced that youth, young people, with your passion, with your potential to imagine different worlds. So along the slogan, a better world is possible, we are unstoppable. So I think young people can help the world a lot, and the world has to help young people that they are able to deliver better in a very resourced framework. Because as Tim is emphasizing again and again, this is unacceptable that young people are volunteering their life away. They have to struggle to come to places like here to get heard and so. And we have to change this. And with I Glotcha, we are working on this. And happy to have you as a partner here. And onwards and upwards.
Some biscuits and some drinks from yesterday's reception.